Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of Kind Inside the Treatment Room. Today, we have the lovely Solaine with us. Solaine is a nutritionist who specifies in PCOS. Solaine, how are you today?
I'm good.
So good.
Yes, excited for this.
Thank you so much for coming in. You've recently just had a little bubba. Yeah.
Yes, yep. She's very fresh. Only a couple of weeks.
What's her name?
Sadie.
Sadie. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. So we're going to go through a couple of questions whilst also doing a facial on you today. I just had a quick little discussion with Solaine about her skin. We're going to just do some nice refining products and hydrating products because we're in the end of winter here on the Gold Coast, and we will finish off with some LED light. Okay. How does that sound for you, Solaine? So good. Let's get started. So for those that don't know, you are a nutritionist. You specialize in PCOS. Do you help women, though, who need to see a nutritionist that don't necessarily have PCOS issues?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do work with women who don't have PCOS in sort of a one-on-one setting. I guess most of the time I'm getting PCOS clients nowadays, it tends to be more so word of mouth referrals if I'm getting people that don't have PCOS.
And how did you get into being a nutritionist that specifies with PCOS?
I don't have PCOS myself, but I wanted to be a nutritionist because I went off the pill around the age of 19, didn't have a period for a couple of years, and went to a doctor. And like many women, they sort of just said, oh, it's, kind of normal. Just go back on the pill until you want a baby. And I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that made sense at the time, which I'm glad I kind of had that level of insight, even though I didn't really know anything about health or sort of anything like that. I went to see a naturopath and she really helped me, and I did get my period back. And so that was my very cliche but catalyst thing of kind of going, oh, this is actually really cool and I love what she did. So I wanted to be able to help people like that. So I went and did a 4-year degree and then just lots of mentoring after my degree. I was more so working broadly with just different reproductive conditions initially. And then I just really enjoyed working with women who had PCOS. And so it sort of just evolved from there over the years.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So for those that don't know what PCO is, can you give us just a little bit of a rundown what it is, but also how it impacts our body?
Yeah, for sure. So it's known as a syndrome, which basically just means it's a collection of different symptoms as opposed to being a disease. The way that it's diagnosed is the Rotterdam criteria, and that just means you need to meet 2 of 3 of these different characteristics in order to qualify for a diagnosis. So that means irregular periods or cycles where you're not ovulating, hyperandrogenism, which can be on a blood test or symptoms of it. And that really just means that you've got high levels of hormones like testosterone, and that will then cause often symptoms like acne, hair growth, hair loss from the head, among other things. And then your other one is cysts on the ovaries. So there are other conditions that can kind of look like PCOS, but I'd say typically the key characteristic that most women are going to have, which really sets it apart, is that hyperandrogenism. So the high levels of testosterone, and then the other hormones are either DHEAS or androstenedione, but they're your androgen hormones as a collection. And if they're elevated and there's really no other reason for it, there's a pretty good chance that it is PCOS.
I think a lot of people don't understand that so much with their skin issues, because when I see clients that come in that have PCOS or a lot of cystic hormonal acne, estrogen normally gets the blame for it, but they don't understand that high androgen level is what is actually causing the breakouts.
Yeah, and you'll often see it like it's the cheek and jawline featuring that acne presentation is very, very common. And with PCOS, it is that deep cystic acne is quite common. And the other places I'll often see it present is the chest and back as well.
With insulin resistance, how does that play into skin issues, but also PCOS?
Yeah.
But also, can food alone help to manage that?
Yeah, so insulin resistance, often you'll see it referred to online as like the root cause of PCOS. it doesn't affect sort of all women with PCOS. The stats are around 70 to 80% of women with PCOS have underlying insulin resistance. And really, to put that simply, it means you've got a problem managing sugars and carbohydrates in your body. For a lot of women, that will present as issues being able to lose weight. Like that's kind of the most common issue women face with insulin resistance. And then how that affects PCOS is, yes, obviously the weight side of things and what else comes with that, but then also that increases the androgen production from the ovaries directly. So the worse your insulin resistance is, really the worse all your other PCOS symptoms tend to get. And it can be multifactorial insulin resistance for some women because diet's definitely like the biggest impactor, but then there's also other things which affect it, like sleep. Some women with PCOS are known to have like sleep disorders and things like that, which can also play a role in insulin resistance developing. But diet is definitely our biggest lever to pull. And so if someone is insulin resistant, diet alone can definitely reverse that, which can make a huge impact on improving PCOS symptoms.
So in relation to that with our diet, would you say that there are common nutritional myths or mistakes that women make with PCOS that end up making it worse?
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of misinformation online. I think the thing that can be quite confusing with PCOS is that I guess it can present a little differently person to person. And so you can look at information online and think that because it's PCOS related, it must be relevant to me, which I think can often lead people astray. There's often a lot of people online recommending all you've got to do is go gluten and dairy free and these sorts of things, which can definitely help a lot of people for sure, but it's not going to be the magic fix for everyone. So there's definitely a lot of myths like that. I think we've transitioned in the way that we approach wellness more recently, where it's a lot more about balance and wellness in general instead of being sort of more restrictive and hard on ourselves like it was probably a few years ago. I'd say that's like a general transition we've made. And while that's really great in 90% of cases, I do think that sometimes it can go too far where some people want a different outcome but might not necessarily be willing to change, as harsh as that is to say. So I think that with PCOS, if you have insulin resistance, it's important to understand how severe it is, whether someone is on the brink of developing type 2 diabetes in a month, tomorrow, or in 2 years if they don't change anything, because the severity does change how strict someone might need to be with their diet, especially in terms of carbohydrate intake and that kind of thing. And I think understanding where you're at is really important so that you can make those more informed decisions, like, is eating a generally healthy diet and exercising all you need? Or do you actually maybe need to be a little bit more strict than that? And I think that's where understanding that and then being able to filter out and limit what information you consume online is really important for someone's success, because there's so many like what I eat in a day and all of that on Instagram that might be helpful and provide people inspiration in some cases, but it can also lead people with PCOS to follow, say, other people or influencers with PCOS and go, how come they're eating that and they have that body and they're saying that that's what we're eating for PCOS, and that doesn't really work for me, if that makes sense. I think that can be quite damaging and set people up for unrealistic expectations and disappointment.
It sounds like with PCOS, it's not, I have got PCOS, so these must be the reasons why I've got it, but also these will be my symptoms. So X, Y, and Z is going to fix it because so-and-so said so. It sounds like everybody's got a very unique version of it because it's hormone related, it's insulin related, it's gut related. So how do people try to figure out what is going on internally with their body and what imbalances they have?
Yeah, there's definitely some foundational pieces that very important for everyone with PCOS. Say like generally trying to get enough sleep, trying to manage your stress. Like these are all the foundations that are kind of important for everyone, but I would say affect women with PCOS more than the average person. So for women with PCOS, getting enough sleep, trying to manage your stress, moving your body, these are like extra important basic things. And then from a dietary perspective, really trying to keep your blood sugar stable. So that just means like protein, fiber, and fats, hopefully with every meal, without being too dogmatic about it. Like if you eat out once here and there, it's not a big deal, but just overall, trying to do that is really important. And then I think from there, getting some simple blood testing done, even just with your doctor, testing your insulin and seeing where that's at, checking whether you have any nutritional deficiencies, and then working backwards from there as to what you need. I think one thing we see a lot online is people recommending like women with PCOS are X times more likely to be vitamin D deficient, therefore they need to take a supplement. It's just not true. I've looked at a lot of blood tests now and I see a lot of women who don't have those deficiencies. And so I know that there's a lot of people taking these supplements because they think that they need to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it can get a lot more nuanced. But the basics are really important. And then from there, just getting some blood testing done. I would always recommend someone with PCOS check their insulin, which should really be between 3 and 5 for a fasting insulin to be optimal. Between 5 and 10, and it's just really like it could be better. Over 10, and you've definitely got insulin resistance. And really, if it's much over sort of 12 to 15, I would be pretty strict about getting that down to avoid developing type 2 diabetes later on.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if someone's listening to us today and they're struggling with acne caused by PCOS, what are 3 things that you could recommend for them?
Ooh. So definitely check your insulin first, because if that's high, addressing that will make a really big difference at reducing your testosterone, which will just make it so much easier for you. The other thing that I would really, really make sure that you're doing, and this is just a basic thing, but fiber, protein, healthy fats with all of your meals, because fiber is really, really important for proper elimination and detoxification of hormones. And if you're not getting that proper elimination of hormones, your skin does also act as a detoxification pathway and it can contribute to acne. Protein is really important, especially from a variety, ideally, of different animal sources, because it provides us with lots of different amino acids, and those amino acids are really important for, well, everything, but especially liver function. So, you know, the whole green juice thing for your liver, it's not really going to cut it. You need amino acids because that's literally the raw material that makes your liver pathways function properly. And getting it from a variety of different proteins is important because, again, that provides you with micronutrients like your iron and your B12 and all of these different things, which also contribute towards healthy liver function. And then the healthy fats are just beneficial for that nice like skin quality and integrity and reducing inflammation. So avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oils. And again, it's just that variety that's super, super important. And then the third thing, if I was just to give one more, I would say including a really good quality omega-3 supplement would be my go-to, and understanding that you're probably not going to see any good benefits from it for around 12 weeks. My favorite to include is a good cod liver oil. I really like the Rosita's brand. That's my favorite because
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I love them because they're just really clean, and the capsule-based options, if you don't like the liquid and you want to do capsules, it's just made from gelatin, the capsule, and there's no other excipients in it. So excipients are basically the other ingredients that are in a product to make it sort of shelf stable and last longer. And a lot of omega-3 supplements have quite poor quality excipients in there, and you won't find those listed on the label. It's actually, if they're TGA listed supplements in Australia, you actually have to look it up on the TGA registry and find the listed excipients in the product. So that's always something to remember, but just about supplements in general is that all the ingredients are never disclosed on the bottle.
Okay.
So I just think that's, really important with an omega-3. It's not going to fix your acne, but it can really help to reduce some of that angry red inflammation in the skin, which for most people struggling with that androgen-driven acne is a bit of a problem for them. They'd probably be my top 3. If I was to include one more, it would just be really looking at dialing in that liver and gut function, because ultimately, if you're not eliminating things properly, it will come out in your skin. And so you can look at using some different herbs or supplements to support liver function. And gut health is a huge topic, but basically, if you're not having a good, complete bowel movement every single day, you absolutely have a problem with your digestion. And sometimes that's a simple fix, like moving more, drinking more water, adding more fiber. But if none of that is making the cut, then it can be really worth diving into a gut test to see if there is any imbalances in your gut microbiome. And ideally, if you can, working with someone like a nutritionist or naturopath in order to correct anything going on in there.
And of course, seeing a facialist who's well
Yes.
versed with acne
Of
caused by
course.
PCOS.
Yes.
I love that you mentioned a lot of the things like omega-3s, because people don't understand the important role that they play on your skin, whether you're suffering from acne or not. So I always recommend my clients, if you want great skin, you've got to start with a good omega-3 supplement, because it's going to make so much interesting but satisfying changes for your skin, 100%. Do you find that many of your clients with PCOS also struggle with gut issues? Like, what is the reasoning? We've got a hormone imbalance, that's PCOS, but I find a lot of the time, and you might agree with this or not, but does it stem from the gut?
Well, I mean, the PCOS doesn't stem from the gut. Sometimes it's just coexisting. If someone has insulin resistance, or if it's progressed to even pre-diabetes, there very likely is a dietary issue going on. And that over time can cause gut issues. If you have a significant incidence of food poisoning, that can be enough, if your gut isn't working like it should, to cause quite long-term gut issues. So that it's really hard to say whether it's like chicken or the egg. But yes, the two definitely contribute. Like, gut issues can contribute to making PCOS worse, but it's not necessarily going to be like the cause of PCOS. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a relationship, but not so much that initial cause.
Yes. I found that cycle syncing has improved my menstrual symptoms. I don't have PCOS issues or anything like that. But do you believe in cycle syncing food choices?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's not something I teach or recommend a lot, purely because it is something I used to do more, but I have come over the years to kind of like really simplify the information I'm giving people, because I really find like less is more. And I tend to find a lot of people, or my client demographic at least, can really be struggling to nail the basics. And so I tend to try and get them consistent with that type of stuff first before giving them those, I guess, more advanced strategies. But I do think it's like cycle syncing or eating that different way across your cycle. To me, when you have a regular cycle, first of all, and you really just, it sounds so woo-woo, but like tune into how you feel across that cycle, it tends to be almost automatic. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, I can feel my energy dropping because I'm about to get my cycle. Maybe instead of doing my 5 gym workouts this week, I'm going to drop down to 3 and swap in some walks and stretching or something like that. It becomes, I guess, more of an intuitive process versus something you need to focus on so drastically. I think for my clients with PCOS, I'm just really trying to get them to nail all of that basic stuff before I were to look at anything more advanced like that. But I do like love the concept for someone that is more further down the line in their health journey, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how would you support yourself nutritionally on a day-to-day basis?
With my cycle, do you mean, or just in general?
Just in general.
In general, yeah. Mornings for me, I'm generally like lots and lots of water. I do put a little tiny dash of honey, lemon, or apple cider vinegar and salt in my water just to kind of have some kind of natural electrolyte in there. And then I'll usually I've tried so many breakfasts, but I just always come back to good old-fashioned eggs. I feel like I always feel best with a really nice high-protein breakfast. Lots of fats in there and often some veggies or some avocados, sometimes a slice of sourdough. And I'll always have a coffee as well in the morning. I've been obviously pregnant for 10 months before this, now breastfeeding. So I'm eating a little bit differently to how I do normally. Normally I'm more of a like 3 meals, like 3 decent meals and a snack, because I just feel better rather than grazing throughout the day. I just feel a lot better having those 3 proper meals and then kind of giving my digestion a break in between. At the moment, I'm definitely eating a bit more like an Olympic athlete. Breastfeeding, or feels like that at least.
Yeah, it does.
I'm pretty simple. Like, we'll often do leftovers for dinner or even just some roast veggies. And I'm just really big on like a nice big portion of protein, which is usually always animal protein for me. So beef, lamb, chicken, something like that. And lots of veggies. And we do pretty much the same thing for dinner. It's just really like simple food. Any sauces and things are usually things we're making ourselves. So I don't do a lot of packaged sauces or seasonings. We do like spices and herbs and things like that. But I just really try and keep it as real food focused as possible and really make sure that that nice serve of protein and fiber is in there across the day.
Perfect. Yeah. There's a lot of information on the internet and social media. There's so many biohackers out there now. Yeah. There's a glucose goddess that I've been following too. She's given me a lot of really good tips. And one of them is try to start every meal with protein first. Can you explain that to me, why that's important?
Yeah, it's just all about keeping your blood sugar stable. So why she recommends that protein first. I think she recommends having fiber first and then protein.
Okay.
So the fiber basically acts as like, once you eat that, it's acting as a mesh almost in the digestive system. And it's meaning that those molecules of food that you're eating after are basically being absorbed into the bloodstream slower, which means that your blood sugar stays stable for longer. So it's definitely a great suggestion. So I love those little hacks. And I also think it's really important to know what are your big needle movers. And so to me, something like that is like, okay, that's a nice hack. Maybe you do that when you go, if you're struggling with your blood sugar and insulin. Maybe if you're going out for like Italian or something, you're going to order a side salad or veggies as a starter and have that first. Like, that's often what she's recommending. And then you have your main meal after. But, you know, also, if you don't do that and you're having Italian once a month, you're going to be fine. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I'm just a bit more, I don't know. I think I used to be a lot more trying to do all of the things when I first started. And then I just realized, do you know what? We're all so busy and people have so much to focus on. We need to try and make it a little more realistic for people. I love those sorts of hacks. And at the same time, I think that they're great to focus on if you have the capacity, but just don't stress yourself over those things that are really like small needle movers realistically. Yeah.
Just to make it more manageable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably the equivalent for you of someone that has like a 3 or 5 step skincare routine versus like
10 step.
Yeah. And it's like, for me in like this phase of life of having a toddler and a newborn, I don't have time to spend that long in the bathroom every day. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, who does?
So yeah, I think it's just making it realistic of what's going to actually get you really good results for the amount of effort that you're putting in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it so much more easier to manage.
Definitely, yeah.
How's your skin feeling?
Yeah, really good.
Good. Looks a lot more hydrated. It's actually looking amazing at the moment, like considering all the changes and stresses that you've been under with pregnancy and giving birth. It looks really good. So have you noticed any shifts in how women are approaching hormonal health now compared to, say, 5 years ago?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there has been a really big shift away from extreme things and fad, overall sense of like a balanced approach to wellness. What's that term, like soft girl era kind of stuff on Instagram, you know? We've really pushed back in general, I would say, against like hustle and all of that. So I think that's been a really big shift, which I do think overall is positive. And I also think that in general, when we look at all trends and the way things go, not just across wellness, but across pretty much everything, that when we have one extreme, which I think a few years ago it was all like the high intensity workouts, the like a super low carb and fasting and all of that, often we'll have an overcorrection.
Yes.
Which is always needed to come back the other way. But I think that tends to be what happens. And I think we're in our kind of like balanced wellness era at the moment.
I do agree with that, definitely. Yeah. Just softening everything down, slowing down.
Yeah.
Wellness is definitely something that plays such a big role for so many people, but we do tend to overdo it and think too much and stress too much, which is very counterintuitive to wellness itself.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of like 80-step morning routines and
I've got to get up and I've got to drink my lemon water and then I've got to do my meditation for half an hour, read a book, go outside, ground myself, walk the dog.
I guess it's like extreme. Oh. It's kind of like hard wellness. Yeah,
definitely.
For sure.
Well, what's one wellness trend that you secretly just cannot stand or just don't want to get behind?
I don't know if this is controversial, but I'm going to say CMOS.
CMOS, yeah, speak to me.
I'm like, nah. What is this? No. When were our ancestors consuming CMOS? Like, it's just not something I just feel like it's, especially when you look at the price of it, you're like, no, this is not okay.
So CMOS it advertises that it's full of vitamins
and minerals? Vitamins and minerals and all of this. Yeah, I just think it's a bit of a fad, to be honest.
Yeah. And if you're eating organically and you've got those whole foods.
Yeah, you shouldn't need that, you know. And you can use a mineral-rich salt, which is something that we've consumed forever.
Yes,
and we actually do really, like, there's plenty of research to suggest we do really need those minerals and electrolytes that come from a good quality salt.
Are there any salts that you would recommend?
Ooh, I also for taste really love the Malden sea salt from the supermarket. It's like a really nice flaky sea salt.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the biohacky people in the US love that Baja sea salt. So that's a good option.
But going from one wellness treatment or trend that you don't like, what's one that you secretly love?
One I've been a little slow to get on board with, but I am really loving using my gua sha every day. Is that how I say it?
Yes, that is definitely how I just laugh because I'm about to do a gua sha on.
Maybe I knew it was coming. No, I was definitely slow to get on board. And I think now I've been, watching people do it online and kind of taught myself how to do it. And yeah, I really, really, really enjoy doing that. I feel like it just definitely makes me feel really good.
So a gua sha is essentially just a massaging tool and how you use that depends on what basically you want to achieve from it. So how are you using your gua sha?
Oh, probably wrong. No, I use it sort of like up my forehead, along my cheekbones, along my jawline, and then even like around my lymph under my neck. And then I've got those little lines on on the sides from where my like smile crease is.
Just enjoying life too much.
Yeah, so I've been using it on that as well, because I remember that was something you told me to do a few appointments ago.
Definitely. If you're up for it as well, definitely getting inside the mouth and doing a massage from the inside out. So just very similar to a buccal massage, but we're obviously not going over to the TMJ or masseter muscles over here. You would be working on the muscles around the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So the muscles around the mouth go in a circular motion, and then you've got your depressor muscles that come up vertically through here, okay? So what you want to be doing is just getting inside of the mouth with your thumb and your finger, giving a nice little pinch and massaging around the muscles here. A lot of the time that fascia gets so tightly wound that it starts to drag everything down. So it's not just the smile lines that you've got to focus on, but it's also after years of that happening, you'll start to develop jowls because everything will just start to drag down. So pop inside the mouth with your fingers and give that a massage too. I love gua shas. They're amazing.
They feel so good.
We'll have to get you in for a TMJ massage too.
I do. I really want to try that.
You absolutely love it. If we've got time, which I think we might, I might do a little bit of that on you. Right. So what are your top go-to meals or snacks for women that are on the go that can just help to balance their hormones?
Breakfast, I love like frittatas for women that are busy in the mornings and that like eggs, obviously. I just think they're such an easy thing. They literally take 5 minutes to pop in the oven, and if you're getting dinner ready on a Sunday, you can do it at the same time. And you can, if you're someone that has to like eat in the car or eat after the gym, they're like very portable and easy for that. And again, like really nice serve of protein, healthy fats. You can put some veggies in there as well. And then for a non-egg based option, I do really like things like chia seeds. Whether that's like a chia pudding, if you can do dairy, like some Greek yogurt with it, and a good quality protein powder just to make sure you are getting that nice serve of protein in the morning. I think that's a really nice, easy, preppable option as well. And really nice and high in fiber too. So one serve of chia seeds is about 10, going to have about 10 grams of fiber, which is, you know, your daily recommended amount's 25. So you're nearly halfway there, having that for breakfast. And then other options that I really like, just to keep things simple, like I do love even just the concept of like cook once, eat twice. So doing a double of dinner and having it for lunch the next day. Obviously that depends a little on what it is, but that can just really help save time, make things easier for you. Doing up a big tray of roasted veggies at the start of the week can really help make things like a salad with some protein so much quicker and easier, and less boring too. So that can just be whatever veggies you really have in the fridge, some olive oil, salt, herbs, like mixed herbs, just whatever you've got in the cupboard. They're all things that can be super, super easy to just throw together when you don't have a lot of time.
I love that. Yeah, getting a really good mix of foods.
Yeah.
Lots of fiber from your vegetables, good fats, protein.
Yeah. I think like it doesn't have to be complicated. It's just really like setting aside the time to be a little bit prepared with what you're doing. And if you're someone that doesn't want to eat the same thing all the time or spend 3 hours in the kitchen on a Sunday, you don't have to do that. If that doesn't suit your lifestyle, you can really make it fit what suits you.
Yeah, definitely. My husband got us onto the carnivore diet. I didn't last very long. I lasted 2 weeks. Got a little bit backed up, and I was craving broccoli. I think if you're craving broccoli, you're missing something within you. He's continuing it on with a few modifications now. What are your thoughts as a nutritionist for that diet?
Yeah, I think people are either like really for it or really against it. And again, like over the years, I feel like just there's nuance to everything. So my answer is, again, like it always depends. I do think there are certain people that obviously you see like they get amazing results from doing it. And for people with maybe severe autoimmune conditions, it can be really beneficial. if someone is feeling a lot better from not eating a lot of plant foods, a good question to ask would be, well, why? Why is your gut seemingly reacting to those foods? Or why are you feeling better? Is there some permeability in your gut lining? And that means that when you're not including those foods, you're having less of an immune response on a regular basis. That can be a factor for people. So sometimes with a dietary change like that, you might see improvements, not so much because of the diet, but because of how your body's responding to those foods, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or the removal of those foods, I should say. I think if people are going to do it, like, it's really important to do a modified version, still including some fruit, still including maybe some probiotic foods, whether that's like some kefir or sauerkraut or something like that, is really important as well. One of the things that we don't have a lot of long-term data on is like the effect on the microbiome in the gut. If someone was doing it, I would just be recommending, like, and even for your husband, like, do a microbiome test with someone once a year just to check that you're not kind of causing any like adverse reactions there. I know like Paul Saladino, who's that big proponent of the carnivore diet, he even, I think, recommends or has like a modified version where people are still including mushrooms and maybe sauerkraut and some forms of fruit, which I do think is at least what someone should hopefully be doing.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I love that. Definitely. How's your skin feeling?
So nice.
Good. Well, we're all done with the facial side of it. Thank you so much for coming in and being one of the guests. I'm glad I got to treat you just soon after you've given birth. It's a beautiful treat to be able to give yourself as well.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions about your skin?
No, I don't. That was really nice.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Come visit us next week and we'll have a new guest on the bed getting their own facial done.